Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Sarah, and today I'm joined by Dr. Kelli Ritter, who specializes in quantum health, but also gut healing and nutrition for health and mental well-being. Dr. Kelly's got over 25 years experience in counseling and working in the mental health field with families. And today she's going to be teaching you about something that's very important for clot prevention and inflammation that's not talked about enough, which would be grounding and earthing. And she's also going to share with you the things which she did which harmed her health and the things which she did which massively improved her health. So I'll hand you over now without further ado to Dr. Kelli. Hello, Dr. Kelli. It's such a pleasure to talk to you again, and thank you so much for coming on this channel. Do you want to just introduce yourself so people can get a bit of a feel about your background?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Dr. Sarah. I always enjoy talking with you. I am Dr. Kelli Ritter. My background is in clinical mental health counseling. My PhD, all of my degrees were in the counseling field, the mental health counseling field. And then I got super interested in gut health and the gut-brain connection. And so I started studying nutrition and gut health and went back to school to become a nutritional therapist, and have just been digging and training in the world of quantum biology and nutrition ever since.
How do you help people and why do you do that?
Yeah, I really think of myself as an educator first. I think I was born to be an educator, so I put a lot of information out for free. I try to keep, information on my website that's free, and I have a YouTube channel that I'm growing that I try to put, as much out there. And then I have classes and courses, and I also work with people. I'm a clinician too. So I work with people one-on-one, virtually. So anywhere in the world.
Yes, I remember when I first met you, I think we were talking about, should we just give the internet all of our knowledge, or should we try and hold it back? And you said the same as me, you just give it to them. And just so people know, all of your links and your webinars and your free stuff are going to be put in the show notes. Okay, so before we get into the serious stuff,
Yeah.
where people can learn something today, have you ever met a famous person?
Yeah, when you asked me that, the first thing that popped in my head is that Gene Hackman was walking next to us in New York City, and I tried really hard not to geek out because he was, standing there. So I didn't actually meet him, but yes, I got to walk next to him for a bit.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so what are you going to teach us today? What are we going to learn about?
What do I have that's most helpful? I'm really into earthing right now and grounding, so I'd love to talk about that. Would that be helpful for your people?
Absolutely, because I think clots and blood flow are a massively important topic. We can't
Yeah,
mention the S protein and the thing, and
yeah.
people get hugely confused about ways of eating. So I think anything that you can shed light on inflammation, blood flow, mental health, exclusion zone water, electrons, please share. We'll love to hear.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting that you mentioned like blood clots and blood flow and how important that. I wish I had known this. I've had a pulmonary embolism. So I had 3 clots in my right lung and had no idea that something as simple as going outside barefoot. So this process, this we call it earthing or grounding, where our skin, so any skin, it could be hands or feet or any part of our skin that touches the earth's surface we're going to absorb those free electrons from the Earth's surface, and that naturally thins our blood. So that is a helpful thing to know. It's also important if somebody is on a blood thinner to know that if you start really getting into this practice of earthing or grounding, and you can buy grounding mats and you can sleep on grounding, use sheets or mats or any of those kinds of things. I think they're very helpful. They help people reduce inflammation. They help with our sleep, of course, any pain, all of these different aspects that the grounding and the earthing can help with that. But just know if you're on a blood thinner, you need to be careful and you need to be checking your INR, your blood, so that you don't get too thin. But it's really helpful for people to know that there's this natural free thing that we can do that the earth gives us. And what you and I have also talked about, it helps orient us to the time and space, which is really important for our health and how we feel. So it's a real simple practice to be outdoors. And if people are in somewhere where it's freezing and it's snowing and they're like, I am not going outside barefoot right now, I understand that. You can get a device, you can get a grounding mat, maybe put it under your desk or something like that. But also you could touch a tree. It doesn't have to be, or a bush or something that's planted. You could put a hand down on the ground. It doesn't necessarily have to be bare feet, but that is one of the things that is available to us all year round. Anywhere we are, we can benefit from grounding or earthing.
Well, that's really important, because also it's to do with if somebody's lucky enough to be near a beach or the sea, they can go in that.
Yeah.
And the beach and the sand, even if you bury yourself, apparently I heard from somebody, if you bury yourself in the sand, that's like one of the ultimate grounding or earthing experiences, the same as wild swimming, as we would call it wild swimming in the UK, going into lakes and stuff like that, whereas I'm not sure if other countries call it the same. But then in the US, I'm not sure if you're on the coast or anything, you've got more coastline than we have, so, well, it's assuming in which state you're in. But would you say for people who are concerned about taking their shoes off outside and sort of parasites and stuff, that not to worry, they can just go and earth elsewhere? And also, I think, what do you think about people sitting on a metal bench or touching a lamppost? Because I thought that also touching metal can help as well. That's true, isn't it?
Yes, but all of that. Yes. And I think you bring up a good point about sand. Like sometimes people will be nervous about ants. They might be allergic to red ants. And so they're not going barefoot outside. And yes, it's sand, rocks, gravel, dirt, grass. I had a one client that was like, oh, I thought you just meant grass. It can be any of Earth's surfaces or Earth's surface, but not asphalt. So if it's a non-conductive kind of rubbery or mixed surface, so concrete is fine as long as it's not sealed or painted. But yeah, of course, in sand, it's amazing to go bury yourself in the sand or swim in natural waters. Also really helpful. All of that can be helpful. And for, people that are worried about parasites or something, you can also get grounding shoes if you really don't want to be barefoot. I know mine are downstairs.
I just looked down because I've got grounding shoes as well. But I think the one mistake people make is they forget you need grounding socks as well, don't you?
Yes.
To shoe.
If you're gonna I have a flip flop, so I'm barefoot so if I'm walking around in my flip flops, if I can't go barefoot, I wear my flip flop. Yeah, are you gonna show us, Sarah, yours?
Yeah, I've got.
There you go.
Yes, it's really inappropriate for winter, but just so people know, there's a variety of footwear, and I think that was an important point. If you're going to go in flip flops, you obviously don't wear the grounding socks. But if you you need the grounding sock as well.
Yes, really good point. And then your other question, I've forgotten now suddenly what you were asking.
I think
metal.
Yes, yeah, metal. I'm pretty sure you can hold onto a lamppost or sit on a bench, and you can ground as well.
Help ground yourself. Yes, absolutely. It's absolutely another way that you can do that.
And also, I think with grounding, because people don't understand that there's constantly lightning striking the earth, and it spreads sort of a negative charge all over the earth. It's not something that we're making up. It's actually a geographical phenomena. And the other thing about grounding is maybe you want to talk about it to do with structured water or EZ water, and how electrons and such like can be free energy for us, like not energy as in extra food, but we're always complaining about brain fog and being tired.
Got it. Yeah. So yes, that brain fog and the energy, and you and I know that electrons are like money in the bank. So if the body's the bank, right, and these electrons that we want to be putting in, and yes, people think about food, but earthing, grounding is actually a way for us to absorb those free electrons. And that exclusion zone water, this easy water that our mitochondria make. And when we expand that, so light is important for that, but we can absorb those electrons through the Earth's surface and help fill that easy water is full of electrons. So that gives us more energy, less brain fog, less problems with our mental health, better sleep, all kinds of benefits, right? Reducing inflammation. So that's another benefit that we get from earthing or grounding, is to gather those electrons. And you mentioned too, the electricity. So the lightning hits. And so it's not like we're going to run out of electrons in the Earth's surface. It's there all the time, which is really amazing that we have that resource all the time.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll move into the next question. So what three things have you done in your life? And it can be something that was your career or a relationship that really negatively affected your health or your mental health.
Goodness. One of the things that I used to do, because I read that question as, what habits have you had that were considered mistakes for your health? And I'm like, there really aren't mistakes, right? Because we're all learning, right? It's all on this learning journey. It's part of my belief system is that there are no coincidences. So it's all been really helpful in some way. But I was thinking about that in terms of, like, I used to trust doctors more than I trusted my own gut, my own heart. And I do not do that anymore. And that was something that I did quite frequently. Addiction has been a big piece of my life. I've been very responsible, high functioning person. So to realize that I had these things that moved past habits and were addictions for me. I was completely addicted to Diet Coke at one point and continued to do that, even knowing, I had dizziness and headaches and all kinds of things, and I still was addicted to the Diet Coke. So that was a habit, or what I would call maybe a mistake in my health journey. And then, things that I would do career-wise, just work so past my stress bucket would be so full, but I would still have things that I was trying to get done because I didn't want to let the team down, or I didn't want to be seen as somebody who wasn't performing. And so my own mental health and my own health would suffer because I did not want to be seen as somebody who was not pulling her weight.
Oh, that's really interesting, because I suppose the last one is like the what do people think, but I'm just going to backtrack to the Diet Coke one, because people are terrified of, some people are terrified of doing things wrong with their way of eating. But when you were addicted to Diet Coke, how much of it per day? Because I remember we had a conversation and you reminded me that they're all neurotoxins, whereas maybe once a week or so, or maybe more, I'll have like something that's got artificial sweeteners in it. But ever since you said that, I've really been very mindful, and every time I go to buy a can of Red Bull or Monster or whatever, I think, oh, Dr. Kelly and the neurotoxin, just to put it into perspective, because for some people who are really struggling with their weight, artificial sweeteners can be really helpful in the beginning. But would you like to elaborate on the Diet Coke to excess as a nutritionalist and a scientist?
Sure. Yes, because I don't make bones about saying these artificial sweeteners are neurotoxins. So whatever you have to do to get them out of your life, it's just not good. Your liver can't process that. It's got to go hang out somewhere. Not good. And I'm also very compassionate because I've been there where I didn't want to give it up, even though I knew that, right? So yes, the Diet Coke. And I do think there's a step function for people, when they're trying to give up a lot of different things. That might be one of the last things that they give up. But, for me, I think once you get really clear about the fact that something's got a hold on you, that you get honest about that you are not really in control around this substance, whatever that substance might be. And in this case, I think it's really difficult to get off of the artificial sweeteners. And the truth about the weight is that the artificial sweetener is actually part of keeping on weight. So it messes the microbiome up. And so when you mess that microbiome up and you have just, imbalances there, that's what tends to keep weight on people. So it's just something that has got to go. However, you can get that out of your life, whenever you can get that out of your life.
Oh no, I really appreciate just being reminded of this again, because it's something that it is hard to stick to things, and now and again you think, oh, it'll be all right, and we just sometimes need to have someone like you to say, actually no, it's not, it's synthetic, it keeps the weight on, it messes up leptin, and we don't know the long-term effects, it's a neurotoxin. Would you give it to your children? And I think sometimes people like you, it's a really good reminder of, no, it's something that needs to go, and as and when you're ready, but the clock's ticking, basically.
Right. Yeah. And you and I talk about being self-compassionate around that, but still, yeah, it's got to go.
Okay. Then on the converse of that, what are the 3 biggest health habits or whatever changes you made that moved the needle for you the most, especially focusing on mental health and physical health?
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me was getting my diet and not listening to other people about that, not even listening to my own training and nutritional therapy, but also just getting really clear about what I needed to do for my own health. And so when I landed on carnivore, I did that for over 2 years, and I had a lot of health benefits from that. I'm not dogmatic at all in the area about food. And I'm much more interested in a seasonal approach, an ancestral seasonal approach now, obviously, that I understand mitochondrial health. But that was huge for me, is the diet. Sunlight was, my relationship with the sun has really helped me immensely. So sunrise, I'm religious about getting out for sunrise in particular. And I think, the other habit that has really made the biggest difference for me is the earthing, getting outside, being in nature, but being really intentional about that. Before I would be outside, but I was, getting my walk in or in shoes. I wasn't really intentional about earthing and grounding. And that has been really helpful, and being immersed in nature. I wasn't really appreciating that.
Okay, next question. So there are a lot of scientific studies to show that spirituality, spiritual practices are massively beneficial for health, even if people don't actually believe in anything. So what are your spiritual, esoteric or religious views about the universe and why you're here and how it all works? And remember that UFO spotters and atheists are perfectly welcome as well. And then finally, when you finish that, how has this helped you with your life, your belief?
Okay. Yeah. So, I would call myself pretty deeply spiritual, not so much religious. And I think that we are the universe reflecting itself back to itself, if that makes any sense. I think the universe is in us and we're in the universe. And the more and more, I can't explain any of it, but it does feel like something is breathing us versus us taking these breaths. And so I feel really connected. I don't know if that's been more from the earthing practice. I've just been feeling much more connected to nature. And for me, that's really important. I also just get the sense that we are very much loved. Whatever's on the other side, whether that's God or life force energy or whatever it is that we're a part of, we are very loved there, that it's not a judgmental place or judgmental experience. So, and that helps me because when when the shit is hitting the fan in my life, I try to remember that, that I have at times, even recently, I've been thinking about, if the universe, why would the universe want this reflected back to itself? This kind of stress. It helps me in my life when things are really stressful, to think that there's a bigger plan. Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways that could be interpreted. I think the best one I've heard is like that the creator or Waheguru or the source is like the moon, and then we're all buckets out in a field, and it's like there's a reflection of the moonlight in the bucket. Or people would talk about microcosms and macrocosms or fractals, but I think it's what you touched on was really important about the love. And another person I spoke to mentioned this as well, that do you think it's a love that's coming from nature and the universe to you, or a love that you're giving out to everybody else?
Oh, that's a good question, because I feel like it's coming in. Maybe that's just the time of the season I'm in life. I'm requesting that a lot come in, but I think I've more and more lately, I've been asking to be in service. Like, what can I do that would be in service? Like, even thinking about like growing a YouTube channel or whatever it is that you're trying to put out there. It's more about the service. Like, I want to be in service. And to me, that would be the putting it out, the putting the love out there. But I feel a lot of it is coming in, that it's the nature or the life force that is pulling the love in.
Oh, definitely. It makes sense that when stuff goes well for us, we want to just give the love out. But I think what you're also saying is that, you know, sometimes in our life, we want to receive the love, and then there are other times we feel we want to share it. So on that note, if people want to hire you, follow you, reach out to you, where can they find you, and what do they do next?
Yeah. So my website, nourished-soul.com. And the YouTube channel is the Nourished Soul channel. I have a podcast, the Nourished Soul podcast, all places where people can find me. Yeah, that's an Instagram, that I'm mostly on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I'm not killing it like you are on TikTok. I'm not that good, but I'm putting more and more out there. So those are the places to find me, and I love to connect with people. So
oh, absolutely. Now I'll put it all in the show notes as well, and I can assure people that Kelli's really friendly as well, and you know, she's not frightening or anything like that. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate talking to you and your time. And also, I know some of these questions can be a bit deep, and it's almost throwing a curved ball at someone. So thanks for sharing your knowledge and also yourself with us.
Yes, thanks for having me, Sarah.